What's up, America? Neil here with Geauga Firearms Academy. Thanks for watching. Today we are going to delve into long guns. Specifically, we're going to take a look at the AR-15. Now this is going to be a very basic introduction to the gun itself and how it operates. So if you've been around AR-15s for a long time, thanks for stopping by, but probably not going to be too interested in this. For the rest of you, those of you that just bought one, thinking about buying one, or thinking about building one, or you have one, you've just never shot it, and you just want to know how the gun operates. That's what we're going to break down in very basic steps right now. Alright, to start out with, again I'm going to take the sling off here so we have some free movement. As far as the equipment that's on here and why I place it, and there's a purpose and a reason where everything is exactly where it's positioned on the gun, and we'll talk about that on a different video. This one specifically about the operation. So first and foremost, let's just talk about how all those buttons or switches are aligned. So first, we have a magazine release, which is right here. So we're going to press that, and that's going to release your magazine. It'll drop free. Some magazines are going to be like these P-mags here. They're a polymer, and some you'll hear the term GI mags. Those are a metal magazine. The gun will run both. The big draw to the AR platform is the fact that it's so universal. You can take parts and you can make it look, as you can tell, this looks different than 5 or 6 things you may see in the store. And they all have their own purpose, and they can be purpose built. So again, first thing, magazine release, okay? Now, inside here, we have a bolt. This is called a direct impingement gun, which means that when the gun is fired, the pressure in the gas comes down the barrel. Right here where my finger is, there's what's called a gas block, okay? And it literally takes that pressure and forces it back through a tube. I don't know if the camera's gonna pick it up or not, but there's a gas tube, a metal tube that runs there. It looks like a straw. All right, and that straw runs that tube runs all the way into the chamber. You may be able to pick it up, but right where my finger is, you'll see that's where the end of that gas tube connects. Now, the bolt is all the way locked in the rear position. So there's 2 things we can do. We can either use the paddle, which is this right here. So if I press this up, and you'll hear it, that sent the bolt home. So then you can see it slid all the way forward. Now, there's a charging handle, okay? So with the charging handle, I can pull the bolt to the rear, okay? Now if I press on the bottom of the paddle, okay, so instead of pressing up top, I press the bottom, this will lock the bolt back to the rear. Just like a pistol, when you lock the slide back, that's your slide lock, okay, so to speak. And now you'll see that the charging handle, it's free floating, okay? Because this does not reciprocate. When the gun is fired, this does not come back, it stays right there. However, inside there, that bolt does go back and forth, the whole bolt carrier, and it goes into this tube, okay, which is called a buffer tube. And inside here is a spring and a weight, okay? And so that's calibrated based on the gas length, which we'll talk about later. But that gets pressed back in here. And so that does 2 things. One, because it's a tube and there's a spring in there, it almost acts like a shock absorber in a sense. The recoil that you get from an AR is very minimal, and that's one of the reasons for that. But every time the gun's fired, that goes back. Now that spring gets compressed in there, and of course it returns forward again. And when it does, that will strip up the next round. So whether you're talking about a pistol or a rifle, there's usually 2 forces at work. You have gas pressure pushing a bolt or a slide back, and then you have some type of spring that's forcing it back forward. And this is no different. It's exactly how it works. So as you can imagine, if this magazine had rounds in it right now, there'll be a round, okay, sitting right there. And then as the slide comes forward, as the bolt carrier comes forward, the bolt is in the front there, and it will pick up that round and put it into the chamber. On this side of the rifle, we also have our safety controls. So you have your safe and fire. So when the gun's on safe, you have one in the chamber, the magazine's full, and everything's working properly. Press the trigger, no bang, okay? Put it to fire, and now we're good to go. That's the basic operation. You got gas pressure pushing that back, comes into the buffer tube, which is a spring, gets compressed and released forward. And on it goes until we run out of rounds. Just like a pistol, this will go to lock back. The bolt will lock to the rear, just like that, so that we can remove our magazine, put a new one in, hit our paddle, and go. Again, if you don't press the paddle, you can also pull back on the charging handle and release it as well. But just like a pistol, we don't want to let that bolt go slow. We want it to go full force. Just rip it and rip it. Let's talk about how we would load this, shoot this from start to finish, okay? In whatever condition we find them. So first thing, obviously you're going to pull your bolt back, make sure that safety check there's nothing in the chamber, and then we're going to go ahead and insert our magazine. You can either do it like that, or you can lock it back to the rear, again by pulling back on the charging handle and locking it. So then we insert our magazine. Once we insert this, give it a little tug, make sure it's in there seated properly. If our bolt is forward, so now what we're going to do is pull the charging handle back and then let it rip. Now of course, since there's no rounds in here, the gun assumes that it's empty, which it is, and it's going to lock back. So we're going to defeat that by pressing the paddle, and so now we've got it loaded. All right, so we took one round from the magazine and put it in the chamber. From this point, all we have to do, put our safety to fire, and we're ready to rock and roll. Okay. A couple things that you may see people do, and so you understand that when you see the magazines, when the rounds are in the magazine, obviously they're going to be staggered left and right. And so when they look at the magazine, let's say that the round ends up to be on the left side. When they charge the gun, they'll pull it back out, okay? And they'll look to see that the top round is now on the right side, telling you that they picked up that round and put it in the chamber. Now we have this little dust cover. That's exactly what it is. It's a dust cover, keeps dust out. It will automatically open and close as the bolt moves. Okay, interface is right there. And then we have this guy, the forward assist. Rarely ever do we use a forward assist anymore. This is a kind of a, oh shit, my gun jammed, and I'm going to try to jam the chamber closed and fire. I highly doubt that you're going to be in that situation, especially in the civilian world. So if something doesn't work, it doesn't seat properly, we want to figure out why it is. But that's the purpose of this, was that will jam forward and force the, you can actually see the bolt has little cuts in there, a little bit of grease. And those little scaling cuts, that's what forces that bolt forward to shove it forward. Okay? As far as the gas, you're going to see the gas system on the gun. You're going to see three primary different lengths, which is going to be a carbine length, which is the shortest, mid-length, and then rifle length. Pretty simple platform to run. We'll start getting into twist ratios and different barrels and advantages and disadvantages. The next video that we're going to do is going to be a review on this guy. I'm very, very excited, very happy with. So stay tuned for that. This is the Strike Fire 2, the op mod from Optics Planet. Sweet, sweet little red dot. And of course we have some flip-up irons and some other stuff that we'll talk about later. I hope you guys got something of value out of this, learn a little bit something about the AR-15, and we're going to start doing a lot more long gun stuff. So stay tuned for that. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you liked the video. I always appreciate that. You guys know by now we're on Facebook, so like us on Facebook. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe, and you'll get notified every time we put out new videos. Until next time, remember, it's always better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6.